We are reading Bhagwat Geeta as it is by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, founder Acharya of International Society for Krishna Consciousness. We are in chapter 5. We are in chapter 5, text 22. An intelligent person does not take part in the sources of misery, which are due to contact with the material senses. O son of Kunti, such pleasures have a beginning and an end, and so the wise man does not delight in them. Yes, let's read the purport. Material sense pleasures are due to the contact of the material senses, which are all temporary because the body itself is temporary. A liberated soul is not interested in anything which is temporary. Knowing well the joys of transcendental pleasures, how can a liberated soul agree to enjoy false pleasures? Okay, I think I read this verse last time. I think it's text 23 now. Yes. Let's move to text 23. Before giving up this present body, if one is able to tolerate the urges of the material senses and check the force of desire and anger, he is well situated and is happy in this world. Yes. Many people ask now how to be happy. Let's read. Let's read the purport. If one wants to make steady progress on the path of self realization, he must try to control the forces of the material senses. There are the forces of talk, forces of anger, forces of mind, forces of the stomach, forces of the genitals, and forces of the tongue. One who is able to control the forces of all these different senses and the mind is called Goswami or Swami. Such Goswamis live strictly controlled lives and forego altogether the forces of the senses. Material desires, when unsatiated, generate anger, and thus the mind, eyes, and chest become agitated. Therefore, one must practice to control them before one gives up this material body. One who can do this is understood to be self realized and is thus happy in the state of self realization. It is the duty of the transcendentalist to try strenuously to control desire and anger. Let's move to text 24. One whose happiness is within, who is active and rejoices within, and whose aim is inward, is actually the perfect mystic. He is liberated in the Supreme and ultimately he attains the Supreme. Yes. Let's read the purport. Unless one is able to relish happiness from within, how can one retire from the external engagements meant for deriving superficial happiness? A liberated person enjoys happiness by factual experience. He can therefore sit silently at any place and enjoy the activities of life from within. Such a liberated person no longer desires external material happiness. This state is called Brahma Bhuta, attaining which one is assured of going back to Godhead, back to home. So everyone says happiness is within, but we don't really understand what does that actually mean. उसका मतलब क्या है और वो कैसे मिलता है. So I'm so glad that we are reading Bhagwat Gita, so we know now how. So happiness is within means we are able to experience transcendental pleasures. And once we taste this, we don't find any material pleasures tasteful. But to reach there is you can only reach there when you have full control on your desire and anger. Yes. Text 25. Those who are beyond the dualities that arise from doubts. Yes. ये मैं करूँ या मैं नहीं करूँ. Duality. Whose minds are engaged within, who are always busy working for the welfare of all living beings, and who are free from all sins, achieve liberation in the Supreme. Yes. Let's read the purport. Only a person who is fully in Krishna consciousness can be said to be engaged in welfare work for all living entities. When a person is actually in the knowledge that Krishna is the fountainhead of everything, then when he acts in that spirit, he acts for everyone. The sufferings of humanity are due to forgetfulness of Krishna as the supreme enjoyer, the supreme proprietor, and the supreme friend. Therefore, to act to revive this consciousness within the entire human society is the highest welfare work. One cannot be engaged in such first class welfare work without being liberated in the Supreme. A Krishna conscious person has no doubt about the supremacy of Krishna. He has no doubt because he is completely freed from all sins. This is the state of divine love. Yes. A person engaged only in ministering to the physical welfare of human society cannot factually help anyone. Temporary relief of the external body and the mind is not satisfactory. The real cause of one's difficulties in the hard struggle for life may be found in one's forgetfulness of his relationship with the Supreme Lord. Yes. When a man is fully conscious of his relationship with Krishna, he is actually a liberated soul, although he may be in the material tabernacle. Yes. So, being in this material world also, we can become completely surrendered to the God. And being surrendered means we accept the situations around us the way it is. We accept ourselves the way we are. And then we move on. And then we start living. So, when you start living with this mindset, that whatever is happening to me is not happening to me, it is happening for me, for my growth, right? So, wherever you find anything difficult for yourself, for example, for someone, public speaking is very difficult. And if he is in the profession, and if he is in this profession of giving speeches, then it's going to be a tough task for him. But that is the whole essence. You are made to put in that task because there is an element of growth for you there. You have to overcome your difficulties. And how will you overcome your difficulties if you're not given an opportunity? Right? Let's move to text 26. Those who are free from anger and all material desires, who are self realized, self disciplined, and constantly endeavoring for perfection, are assured of liberation in the Supreme in the very near future. Let's read the purport. Of the saintly persons who are constantly engaged in striving towards salvation, one who is in Krishna consciousness is the best of all. In Bhagavatam 4.22.39 confirms this fact as follows in quotations. Just try to worship in devotional service Vasudev, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even great sages are not able to control the forces of the senses as effectively as those who are engaged in transcendental bliss by serving the lotus feet of the Lord, uprooting the deep grown desire for fruitive activities. Yes. In the conditions, quotes close. In the conditioned soul, the desire to enjoy the fruitive results of work is so deep rooted that it is very difficult, even for the great sages, to control such desires, despite great endeavors. Yeah. A devotee of the Lord, constantly engaged in devotional service in Krishna, conscious in Krishna consciousness, perfect in self realization, very quickly attains liberation in the Supreme. Owing to his complete knowledge in self realization, he always remains in trance. To cite an analogous example for this, now we are seeing an example, it's in quotes. By vision, by meditation, and by touch only do the fish, the tortoise, and the birds maintain their offspring. Similarly, do I also, O Padmaja. Quotes close. The fish brings up its offspring simply by looking at them. The tortoise brings up its offspring simply by meditation. The eggs of the tortoise are laid on the land, and the tortoise meditates on the eggs while in the water. Similarly, the devotee in Krishna consciousness, although far away from the Lord's abode, can elevate himself to that abode simply by thinking of him constantly, by engagement in Krishna consciousness. He does not feel the pangs of material miseries. This state of life is called Brahma Nirvana, or the absence of material miseries due to being constantly immersed in the Supreme. Yes, so beautiful. Yes. Let's move to text 27 and 28. Shutting out all external sense objects, keeping the eyes and vision concentrated between the two eyebrows, suspending the inward and outward breaths within the nostrils, and thus controlling the mind, senses, and intelligence, the transcendentalist, aiming at liberation, becomes free from desire, fear, and anger. One who is always in this state is certainly liberated. Yes. Let's read the purport. Being engaged in Krishna consciousness, one can immediately understand one's spiritual identity, and then one can understand the Supreme Lord by means of devotional service. When one is well situated in devotional service, one comes to the transcendental position, qualified to feel the presence of the Lord in the sphere of one's activity. This particular position is called liberation in the Supreme. After explaining the above principles of liberation in the Supreme, the Lord gives instruction to Arjun as to how one can come to that position by the practice of the mysticism or yoga known as Ashtang Yoga, which is divisible into an eightfold procedure called Yam, Niyam, Asan, Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dharana, Dhyan, and Samadhi. Yes. In the sixth chapter, the subject of yoga is explicitly detailed, and at the end of the fifth, it is only preliminarily explained. One has to drive out the sense objects such as sound, touch, form, taste, and smell by the pratyahar process in yoga, and then keep the vision of the eyes between the two eyebrows and concentrate on the tip of the nose with half closed lids. Now they are explaining how a yogi does meditation. Okay. There is no benefit in closing the eyes altogether because then there is every chance of falling asleep. Nor is there benefit in opening the eyes completely because then there is the hazard of being attracted by sense objects. The breathing movement is restrained within the nostrils by neutralizing the up moving and down moving air within the body. By practice of such yoga, one is able to gain control over senses, refrain from outward sense objects, and thus prepare oneself for liberation in the Supreme. Yes. Oof. This is really tough because how can you leave your eyes little open and still do the yoga meditation? And this yoga process helps one become free from all kinds of fear and anger and thus feel the presence of the super soul in the transcendental situation. In other words, Krishna consciousness is the easiest process of executing yoga principles. This will be thoroughly explained in the next chapter. The Krishna conscious person, however, being always engaged in devotional service, does not risk losing his senses to some other engagement. This is a better way of controlling the senses than by Ashtanga Yoga. Yes. So now we realize that yoga is also done for controlling your senses and your mind, right? Let's move to text 29. A person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well wisher of all living entities, attains peace from the pangs of material miseries. Let's read the purport. The conditioned souls within the clutches of the illusory energy are all anxious to attain peace in the material world, but they do not know the formula for peace, which is explained in this part of the Bhagwat Geeta. The greatest peace formula is simply this: Lord Krishna is the beneficiary in all human activities. Men should offer everything to the transcendental service of the Lord because he is the proprietor of all planets and the demigods thereon. No one is greater than he. He is greater than the greatest of the demigods, that is Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. Yes. Why is he greater than Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma? Because Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma are still in the material world only. So imagine Lord Shiva has its own place, Brahma Bhagwan has his own place, but both the places are in the material world created by the Lord. They are not in the spiritual world. Imagine. He is greater than the greatest of the demigods, Lord Shiv and Lord Brahma. In the Vedas, Shvetashvatara Upanishad 6.7, the Supreme Lord is described as Tam Ishwaranam Paramam Paramam Maheshwaram. Okay. Tam Ishwaranam Paramam Maheshwaram. Under the spell of illusion, living entities are trying to be lords of all they survey, but actually they are dominated by the material energy of the Lord. The Lord is the master of material nature, and the conditioned souls are under the stringent rules of the material nature. Yes, material nature has its own rules which we cannot deny, defy, or change, right? You cannot change the nature of the plants. Can you? Plants are going to grow, they are going to give fruits. So, how we are in acceptance of the material world and the way it exists, but we are not in acceptance of the self, and we are also material nature, right? So, why aren't we able to accept ourselves the way we are, the other things around us the way they are? Unless one understands these bare facts, it is not possible to achieve peace in the world, either individually or collectively. This is the sense of Krishna consciousness. Lord Krishna is the supreme predominator, and all the living entities, including the great demigods, are his subordinates. One can attain perfect peace only in complete Krishna consciousness. Yes. This fifth chapter is a practical explanation of Krishna consciousness, generally known as Karma Yoga. The question of mental speculation as to know as to how Karma Yoga can give liberation is answered herewith. So, Karma Yoga is a yoga where we do everything with honesty, with self realization. For the uh, we do everything for the Lord, for submission to the Lord. Even smallest of things we do it for the Lord. If we keep that as our mindset, then we will attain a lot of self realization while we are doing it. Right? To work in Krishna consciousness is to work with the complete knowledge of the Lord as the predominator. Yes. Such work is not different from transcendental knowledge. Direct Krishna consciousness is Bhakti Yoga and Jnana Yoga is the path leading to Bhakti. Yes. So direct Krishna consciousness is called Bhakti Yoga, which we will learn in the chapters, I think, after 12. 12th chapter के बाद आता है Bhakti Yoga. Krishna consciousness means to work in उसके पहले ज्ञान योग आएगा. So I think 7th to 12th chapter is ज्ञान योग. Krishna consciousness means to work in full knowledge of one's relationship with the Supreme Absolute, and the perfection of this consciousness is full knowledge of Krishna or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A pure soul is the external servant of God as his fragmental part and parcel. He comes into contact with Maya due to the desire to lord it over Maya, and that is the cause of his suffering. As long as he is in contact with matter, he has to execute in terms of material necessities. Krishna consciousness, however, brings one into spiritual life even while one is within the jurisdiction of the matter. For it is an arousing of spiritual existence by practice in material world. Right? The more one is advanced, the more he is freed from the clutches of matter. The Lord is not partial towards anyone. Everything depends on one's practical performance of duties in Krishna consciousness, which helps one control the senses in every respect and conquer the influence of desire and anger. And one who stands fast in Krishna consciousness, controlling the above mentioned passions, remains factually in the transcendental stage or Brahma Nirvana. The Eightfold Yoga mysticism is automatically practiced in Krishna consciousness because the ultimate purpose is served. There is a gradual process of elevation in the practice of yam, niyam, asan, pranayam, pratyahar, dharana, dhyan, and samadhi. But these only preface perfection by devotional service, which alone can award peace to the human being. Right? They only preface. It's only a preface. इसके बाद तो actual chapter शुरू होगा है ना? It is the highest perfection of life. Right. Thus end the Bhakti Vedanta purports to the 5th chapter of the Srimad Bhagwat Geeta in the matter of Karma Yoga or action in Krishna consciousness. Yes. Let's end here with Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and tomorrow we will start with Jnana Yoga. Yes. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Sorry, from Monday we will start. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Let's do Radha Jap. Radha, Shri Radha, Radha, Shri Radha, Radha, Shri Radha. Yes.